Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. I'm going to be covering advanced Orianna tips. And so I'm going to break this video down into separate categories. So categories for each part of Orianna gameplay that I think is worth highlighting. And so for the first category I want to cover is overall ball placement. So here I'm going to use an example where I'm in the early game and I'm versing a Lucian. And here, see how I've got the ball out. I'm using my poke with just my moving my Q. And here I have a choice. When he walks at me, this is what's really, really strong about Orianna in the early game, is that you can simultaneously walk backwards and you can look to Q like that. And that's what makes Orianna's poke in the early game really, really strong. And so this comes from an understanding of knowing the range of Orianna ball and not panicking and letting the ball click back to you and then throw it at him. When the ball is already on the ground, it's a lot easier to attack the person because the distance is so short. Let me show you another example here. Here's a perfect example. Let me go back. So here, later in the lane, just 40 seconds later, I'm just trading, CSing at the moment. And then I throw a QW. So here, now because my ball is already on the ground, look how much easier it is, and the distance between the ball and the person, rather than having to go all the way back to me and then to him, it's way easier just for me to click it back like that while I'm walking backwards. So I'm simultaneously keeping myself safe by walking backwards and damaging him at the same time. And because he has to walk forward, he also takes damage from the minions. So this is a quick tip, is practice this and practice tool as well, is have the ball out and then move it. Pretend you're hitting someone, maybe do it on a practice dummy while moving backwards simultaneously. So this is a really solid tip you can do in the early game. Let's look at some other forms of ball placement. Just want to show you another example here where I'm just versing a Lucian, and again, to reiterate the point, I'm at my power spike now, I've got my lost chapter, and notice how I'm keeping my distance, and whenever he walks up, I just QW and then I walk backwards. And this is a great way and a great habit to get into when you're playing Orianna, is feel confident to leave the ball in the lane, because again, the distance, now if I just leave the ball like this, it's a lot harder for Lucian to walk into me because he has to walk past this ball, and the distance between me and the ball and the character is so short, so I can pretty much always hit the Q. This is how to utilize Orianna's range in the laning phase. Just another tip here. When you throw out your QW, a really quick tip for when you want to get the E back to you and you want to react quicker is use the Alt key. Use Alt E. Don't use E on you. So what that does, it allows you to keep your cursor in the area that is moving the ball to hit the Lucian with the Q, and then you don't have to move your cursor back to your character. You can actually just keep the cursor out, and then you just Alt E, and then like I do here. Let me show you one more time. I actually skipped over a little bit there. So here I QW, and then when he dashes in on me, I'm able to get the Q and then instantly E. And it's a lot harder if I have to use E, cast it on myself. So yeah, using Alt E is just a really quick tip to be able to get it back to you quickly. And so here I'm going to show you another example of some advanced ball placement. So when you can all in someone, a lot of players get caught off guard, is that the ball actually pulls you back to the side, the opposite side it's on. So I'll show you this example first and kind of explain it. So here I get a little trade. Lucian kind of dashes in too far, and then I see this opportunity because he's used his dash. So I walk up, ult him, and see how it pulls him back to that side. And then I end up heal for movement speed and get a few auto attacks, and he dies. And a lot of Oriannas wouldn't really see the kill threat there. So something to keep in mind with ball placement as well is that you can use the gank setup to pull them back into the lane. And a lot of these players try to use their ultimates for the perfect wombo or the one shot. No, using it to set up the rest of your combo is a really, really good way to utilize the effectiveness of ball placement, because it definitely catches people off guard. So for the next category, I just want to talk about using Spellbook in mid-game. So people get very confused about how to use their Spellbook and what summoner do I change to and when do I change, how do I know? So I'm just going to run you through a few different examples. So here, I actually don't have my teleport and I have the ability to change. And I saw a skirmish going on bot lane. So, I could have changed to, I didn't actually have heal because I changed to heal before, because heal is usually my go-to after I use my teleport, because it's just an all-round great ability for Orianna. Heal allows you to play aggressively because it gives you movement speed and be able to trade aggressively, and then it also acts as a defensive summoner, which is really strong. So here, when I see these skirmishes, you have a few. I'm thinking a few things. Okay, Do I need Ignite to clean up this heal? Do I need Exhaust if I want to walk up and play aggressive? And what I actually did here, and I changed to Ghost. And Ghost is something that I recommend on Orianna. Because what it allows you to do is it allows you to juke abilities, it allows you to get to the fight faster, and it allows you to close the gap if they flash away or something like that. Between the mix of your slow with your W and then your own movement speed, you can end up doing a lot of stuff here. So in these formal skirmishes, again, it's all about assessing, thinking in the future, okay, how can I best use this summoner given the state of the game? And don't be too worried if you're just using it once for one fight and then you're not going to have it. That's what the spellbook's used for, and that's why it's so good in Orianna, because she can utilize so many different summoners. So let me run you through another example here. So here's another example of adapting to the situation of the game to decide what summoner to take from your Unsealed Spellbook. So I actually just TP'd back to lane, so I didn't have TP, and I had the ability to change. So if I actually assess the map right now, we're versing a Fed Rengar. My top lane's winning, so it's kind of isolated in a way. And my bot lane's, I mean, they're going okay. But the main reason is I'm versing a Syndra, which is pretty heavy trading, and I actually got behind here. I died early, and I'm versing a Fed Rengar. So I have the choice here. I don't think and I have an Eve jungle. I don't really have the opportunity to play aggressive in this lane, especially when I'm versing a Fed jungle. So I don't really want to swap to something like Ignite or Ghost or something like that. What I end up deciding is I want something defensive here. And this was good. I just want something to keep me safe, get to my items, keep scaling up because I outscale Syndra. So I want to look at something like Barrier or Heal or Exhaust or something like that. And when the enemy mid laner doesn't have Ignite, Heal is really, really good. And the reason Heal is a bit better than Barrier as well is because the movement speed can be super helpful when you're getting ganks. It allows you to just, in combination with your W and your shield with your E, it can make you really annoying to hit because you're moving so fast, and obviously the heal itself. So I choose to go heal here. And again, it's just a quick thought of what's the state of the game, how can I pick a summoner that's going to help me fulfill my identity, which is getting to the mid to late game team fights, because I won't be able to win lane. So heal. That's a really quick breakdown. So the next category I'm going to cover here is ball placement around objectives. So a really big part of Orianna's kit is obviously her strength in team fights, because she has a really nice Wombo ultimate, and especially when you're fed, no one wants to get near you because your ultimate does so much damage, and just your chunk. So around these objectives, what I actually recommend is, okay, where's the enemy going to come through? And what you can actually do is you can walk up, and you can place your ball in a corridor like this. So here I actually make a mistake. I actually wasn't looking at the map properly, and I thought they were coming through this little corridor. What I should have done in hindsight is actually, I should have walked up here and placed my ball in this corridor. So the jungler and the support couldn't get through, because then they would be scared to get hugely chunked. But here I ended up deciding to put my ball like this. And so you can kind of see the concept. Placing your ball in areas creates an area for... it's just like an area of threat that they can't walk through. So, especially around these objectives where there's Dragon, Barons, Rift Heralds, and any of these choke points in jungle, using your ultimate in these choke points is really, really a great way to be able to help secure the objective, and then also, if they don't respect, you can get a really good chunk off, or even get a great ultimate off and kill someone and pick someone. So this is, let me go through actually another example here. We started Baron here. And I'm thinking, okay, they're still all alive, and they're coming in through this way. So what am I going to do? I should put my ball here, and if they walk in, they're either going to get chunked, and they're like this. Now they're scared. Now they know my ball's here. So what's going to happen is if they walk through, now they're scared to walk through, and this allows us to help secure. And then the same thing happens here. Now I see Lee Sin coming from topside. So what do? I walk up here, and then I try to zone. I'm constantly trying to zone and scare people with my ball and make sure they can't come into areas. And this is what Orianna is really, really, really good at doing, is controlling these zone points. So in mid to late game, what I want to see you doing when you're around any of these team fights is placing your ball in an area that creates space for your team to be able to do damage or do whatever that they're doing, whether it's pick someone or get the objective or get the tower. You can put it in a lot of different spaces. So be conscious about your ball placement, and people get really complacent about it, and they think, oh yeah, he's not going to react or something. No, it's a really great way to get some really sick team fights off. So here's another example of mid-game ball placement. So you can actually use your ball to peel. by placing it on the other side. So here my Eve gets caught, and what I actually do is try to pull back Syndra, and Syndra then had to flash to get Eve, and because I actually pulled her back here, I end up able to chase her as well. But that the main thing I wanted to highlight there is that you can actually use your ball to peel. And if your team gets engaged on, and then they wait till they walk past your ball, and then you pull them back onto the other side. It's just another creative use of using your ball in mid to late game. So this is a separate category, and this is like one of those things that I think is, as an Orianna main, you kind of understand. And this category, I'm going to call it saying no to early fights. So my jungler in the early game gets caught on the scuttle and ends up dying here. And then not only am I getting kind of pushed in because I'm versing a Syndra early game, the bot lane's like, go, 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 ping, 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 come, come, come. We don't know where the enemy jungler is. We're versing like a Yasuo, we have a Pyke, they have a Leona. And like I can't do anything versus like this Leona Yasuo, and I end up just dying here. And I knew this is not what I wanted. And again, this is one of those examples of, as Orianna, you got to be very, very strict about the type of fights that you want to take, and especially in the early game. Anything that sets you behind like this is really, really bad because it forces you to have a crappy base, and it hinders your ability to get to your lost chapter. And the longer it takes to get to your lost chapter, the harder it is to impact the map. So, as a note, whenever you're playing Orianna, really be harsh on yourself and strict about the quality of the fights in the early game. Unless it's a very obvious win, I'd say no to a lot of fights. I should have just pinged off here, and this is a perfect example of what can happen if you don't say no. So one of the other things I want to talk about is why do Oriannas take Spellbook? And why do you not take Airy or Comet or one of these other summons, or even Phase Rush? So, I personally really like, I'm like Doper, I really like taking Summoner Spellbook because I'm very greedy in that sense, because I like taking Magical Footwear. And the reason I like taking Magical Footwear is because Orianna, again, is very item reliant. And the more gold I can save and not waste gold in the early game, the faster I can get to my lost chapter. And my lost chapter on Orianna, spike around level 7, is really, really strong. You pretty much beat every single person in lane. So that's one reason. And so the main reason, though, for Unsealed Spellbook is that Orianna can utilize nearly every single summoner really, really well. He can, if you think about it, TP, obviously, to get back to lane to get a really solid base off. But even outside of that, she can use heal and barrier defensively to get, to self-peel herself. She can use Ghost, because she utilize Ghost because her mobility is really good for helping her get ball placement. She can use Ignite and Exhaust to play aggressively and try to chunk someone, like you'll see in this video, is like I can walk up and ult someone and kill them 100-0. You can use Cleanse if you get dived. Every single summoner is good on Orianna because she can use them both offensively and defensively. So Summoner Spellbook really scales insanely well. And the reason I like go Sorcery second for Mana Flow Ban and I like Scorch is because Mana Flow for the mana early game, because mana is really valuable for me to get my poke off and win lane. And I feel like I just go too much if I don't have it. And then Scorch just adds on to that my laning pressure. I don't really need any more scaling. I don't need Transcendence or Gathering Storm. I already scale so well. Scorches are just getting me through the laning phase and adds on to my poke. And Time Warp Tonic and Biscuits, again, it's just a really solid thing. I mean, it's rune to go for on most mid laners purely because, if you're trading a lot of HP and you want to trade a lot of HP because Orianna's trades are so good, it just allows you to stay healthy in lane. And also gives you, the great thing about Time Warp Tonic is that it actually gives you a little bit of movement speed and it allows you to kind of position your ball better. And when you base, using Time Warp Tonic, your Corrupting Pot and base, you actually gain health quicker, and you can come out of base quicker. So it's another thing to help you get tempo, but that's a really advanced topic. But they're the main reasons. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know there's a lot in this video. This is quite advanced. There's a lot of things here. It might take a long time to implement. If you have any questions, feel free to leave in the comments below, and I'll get to each and every one of you. Thanks for watching, and I'll keep pumping out more content. Cheers.